See what it does. I think we're live according to that little counter. All right, yeah, there it goes. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Omega Files. We're here to discuss Joy to the World, which was interestingly enough the character's name, because her first name was Joy, her last name was Almondo or something like that, and I guess it translates out to the world. So, kind of a double thing going on there. Now before we get started, not even 5 seconds after the overnight ratings came out, you had the usual suspects out there. The show is doomed, the ratings were abysmal, and Disney will likely not pick it up. Now, just for the education of the 4 or 5 people who might be watching, I read this article today, and I'm like, where are they getting this nonsense? The highest rated program. Matter of fact, all the programs that were in the top 10 for Christmas Day were from the BBC. Gavin and Stacey, the finale, drew the largest audience, which came out to I think 4.4 million, which was 64.75% of the potential audience. Now, Wallace and Gromit came out with 53% share, which was an average audience. All right, hang on a sec. Gavin and Stacey, average audience of 12.3 million, but got to remember, that was a finale. The average audience for Wallace and Gromit was around 9.38, and we know how rarely, we get Wallace and Gromit specials. All right, now, but if you keep going down, the highest TV soap opera of the day was EastEnders with 4.4 million. The highest placed show to not be aired was what you called. All right, we scroll down because I had this, and here it comes. Get ready. In the top 10 also was Call the Midwife with 4.4 million, Doctor Who with 4.1 million, and Strictly came in at 4 million. EastEnders, the late evening episode, didn't even clear 4 million. Yet the show is doomed. And that's just the overnight. That's not even, a week from now when we're going to get the +7s. And that's not the +28s. And that don't even include the Disney views on the streaming service. So what are these guys smoking? I don't get it. It's like Doctor Who was in the top 10. They beat out Strictly's Christmas special. Now that might change, later on in the week, but Strictly don't have Disney Plus. They're not being, on there. So I don't get where the massive failure was, but I just wanted to make a note of that before we get started. All right. So let's go for, I want to hear your guys' take on Joy to the World. Let's start with DWC. Well, what did you make of this Christmas special?
I should say all those people are kind of people who just are just desperate for the BBC to fail for many reasons, but let's move past that. Oh, gotta get some better light here. And so, Doctor Who returns for its annual Christmas special, Joy to the World. But was it a joy to watch? Stephen Moffat brings us, for the most part, a light-hearted Christmas special at the beginning, with the concept of the Time Hotel, all based on the simple fact whenever you're in a hotel, there's always a locked door in your room. Also, bonus points for anyone who noticed the Mr. Ben's costume shop, in reference to the children's book Mr. Ben, who would go to a costume shop where he would put on a costume and then go through a time portal and have many adventures. Once again, we're reintroduced to Villain Guard, making me think we're going to see Moffat writing again, as it sounds like there are continuous plans for them, such as this one, where a briefcase with a star seed that will soon become a star is slowly killing people it passes onto, including Trevor. By the way, did anyone else notice that Trevor broke the fourth wall before he died? If I had any complaint about this, it's that they built the star seed as something dangerous, but in the end was all fine, to the point that it was Joy who led the 3 Magi to Bethlehem. The real gut punch of this episode was the story of Joy's mum dying on Christmas Day and not being able to see her because of COVID restrictions, but also the jab at Partygate. Moffat claims this was about everyone who had parties in lockdown and not the government at the time, but that's hard to believe when Joy screamed, all those people with their wine fridges and their parties and I listened to them. Also, this episode is meant to take on the Doctor's loneliness and isolation. Haven't we talked about this before? This seems like old hat now, particularly as this is meant to be the Reformed Doctor, who's better now from the last regeneration. All in all, a fun episode that isn't afraid to touch on subjects that will bring a tear to your eye.
And that's an interesting review there. Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I watched this. This is kind of old hat. It's like we've gone down this road before. Okay, William, what was your take on it?
It was a good episode, especially for a Christmas episode. But it's funny. This is like I can't. You keep mentioning that company that likes making weapons, the Villain God, I think is the name. That they keep mentioning them, so that means we're gonna have to have a story where the Doctor deals with them once and for all, in one way or another, like that. So I look forward to that kind of story. But again, that company, I'm shocked that company has not been mentioned or appeared in Big Finish, considering we have so many doctors there that could run into a representative of the Villain God. So that's weird. It was a good episode. I liked it. The scene when the Doctor came out of the room from the future to give the code for the briefcase, and then he went when he took Joy back, and then the Doctor was dissing him, says, "That's why you're always alone. You have no chairs or anything." And he was going off and off, and he said, it was funny. He's complaining, but he's right up to himself. And I said, I wonder in a funny way they never recorded messages in their TARDIS to pass it on to the next, either to the next incarnation or maybe to themselves in a couple of days like that about what's going on. But the funny thing is about that hotel that has so many different time zones. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets used a couple of times. And I don't mean that by the Doctor, but other people to do certain things like because like maybe any master could pop up, from one room and to jump into another room to for something. Same thing with River Song, that she could pop up, from the room to room like that. To me is Bernie Summerfield, but we're not going to hear about that. But that hotel is going to be it's a potential to be used for a lot of stories, especially with how many floors it has and history and time zones it could have. I mean, I'm shocked. I swear I can't be certain, but I thought I saw a door that had a Gallifreyan symbol on it for Gallifrey. I wouldn't be surprised, even though if that specific door is not it, that there's a door that has a Gallifrey symbol that deals with the time war. So so again, future potential plot lines. I just hope they don't overdo it or use it as to solve any situation that couldn't be done regularly like that. I liked the Doctor staying at the hotel for a year. With the hotel clerk, and I have nothing against Joy, but I liked the hotel clerk more because at least she didn't ignore the Doctor. They just used him for work. They talked, they spent time together, and that's the kind of thing we sort of miss the Doctor doing, is that him talking to people, because but if you notice, like he can't stay still. It's like I don't know why, but we have seen him sit down and talk to other people and deal with the current events that's going on, instead of him just trying to run around, which makes using it as a plot point, but it's a little bit boring when that happens. So I missed the plot when he talks to his companions. Uh, I understand that this Christmas was an hour special. They could have added a few more minutes here and there for more scenes like that with them, and and the Doctor talking to Joy, especially when like DWC mentioned that her mom passed away um, due to the virus, and she couldn't be there with her like that. That's pretty sad. Because a lot of us here, in one way or another, lost somebody because of that. So that was sad, especially on Christmas. That was a very sad moment. So that really stood out. As you said, freedom about the ratings and all that. I don't pay no mind to it, as long as because we have a lot of shows and so many different channels that the ratings are not up there, and they always get picked up for another season or even for a miniseries. So that Doctor Who got nothing to worry about because even if the BBC don't want to make it, somebody else is going to make it, either as a bunch of specials during the year or something. Something it's going to be picked, it's going to be shown, and then of course we got Big Finish. Now, you know what the funny thing be interesting is that if Doctor Who disappeared like for a year or two, let's see what all these commenters is gonna do with no Doctor Who. They probably got to get out of the house for the first time and get a life. So that makes sense. That's my opening statement for now.
Yeah, I really, like I said, it was a good story, overall. But the problem is, I felt like I was watching two different stories crammed into one episode. Because just as the one plot begins flowing, you're now shunted off in this completely different story. Where you have the doctor there with Anita for a year. And then finally you shunt back to the other one, and then it's just about over. It's like, things pick up in the other storyline, but, it's kind of ground we've covered before, like, the doctor bawling himself about how he lives and all that. And I'm like, you don't even know how long into the future this guy's been gone, Plus, you'd think the doctor knows the rules because his future self can't tell him things, and he knows that. Because otherwise, she could lead to a paradox, or things could go just completely off the wall and they get worse. And there's nobody around to fix it. Ugh. Like I said, I enjoyed the character. I really did enjoy the character of Joy. I had no problem, but like I said, it just felt like I was watching two different episodes at once. Wait a minute, what happened here? They're both good stories, but it's supposed to be one episode. Yeah, and the Bethlehem thing, people kind of got their wind of that a long time ago. But I did find it was an interesting, little add-on because that's always been kind of a mystery as to what star was, flaring up in the sky on that particular event. All right, DWC, you got your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to touch upon sort of about what William said, how was more interested in the story with Anita than was with Joy. That was technically one of the weaker parts in this, in that there wasn't really much of Joy for us to really get to know her. And that's kind of the problem why. And Ellie Littlechild on Two Culture kind of made this point as well. Also, with regards to Dungard, as William was talking about, is the Doctor going to deal with him once and for all? Technically, he already did, as if you remember the Empty Child. He blew it up and put a banana grove in there. So it does equally make me wonder what kind of stories can you put when you've already literally highlighted he blew the whole thing up. But obviously back then it was just a throwaway joke. Moffat never intended this to be something he'd end up using 15 years later. But another interesting note, this is more of a side thing. But one thing I've noticed, New Who particularly, they've really reinvented the Silurians, haven't they? Because Silurians were, we only ever saw them twice in the classic show, maybe 3 times if you count the Sea Devils as same kind of story. But either way, we always saw them as the villains who were trying to retake the Earth. Now, they're kind of, lovely is probably an exaggeration, but they're not as much of a threat as they were before. Is that bad? Is that good? I don't know. I don't really care. But it's just an interesting point to make.
Yeah, I agree with that. We didn't really get enough of Joy. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, they because they split this up into two different things, and it's like, okay, I really like Anita. I'd like to see more of Joy, but show's over. Okay, it's done. All right.
That's weird about it because because of the story, the doctor had to be at the hotel for a year, and that's why we had that time with Anita. But when he was with Joy, we knew how sad she is because of her mom passing on Christmas. I actually thought, even though it wasn't mentioned or inferred in any way in the episode. I thought she went there to kill herself because of how sad she was of her mom passing. But there was nothing there. They didn't show no pills or nothing like that. But I thought that's why she was there, and it's a good thing the doctor ran into her like that. But in a way, but her finality is a good thing because she became part of the star, with her mom, and of course all the other people that had their hands in the briefcase, which is a nice ending to them. Of course, Anita at the end is she now works at that hotel. She was offered the job and she took it to work at the hotel. So maybe another story. So she could run into either this doctor or whatever doctor now. That is a hotel time like that. So it'd be interesting, but I don't. It's up to the showrunners whether they want to bring her back at all in a story like that. And you don't want to just use her for just a quick cameo we have seen in other stories that when you bring back past companions, they're only there for like 5 minutes and stuff like that. So it'd be better for her to be, if she comes back, be part of a story. So not just cameo. Like that. So that stands out.
I would also like to make this is something that was bugging me for the entire episode. All I could think was, is Anita the only staff at that hotel? I mean, outside of the doctor once he got a job, because you saw literally no one else. Maybe that was meant to. Maybe she was equally meant to be as lonely and as isolated as the doctor. I don't know. By Dr. Anne Joy, I don't know. But it was something that was going through the back of my head all the time. Is she the only staff? And if such, if she was the only staff and she takes the new job at the Time Hotel, well, who's running the Chandrigan Hotel then?
Well, it could be that. We can say that because of the Christmas, she was the only one there. But like you said, they didn't show nobody else during the year working with her and the doctor, like cleaning and nothing like that. It would have been nice if to show somebody else. So it does weird that only one person is running the whole hotel and doing all the rooms and all that. That makes no sense. So they should have added at least another staff or two in there.
Yeah. Also, nice little Easter egg. Anyone else notice the doctor once again a caretaker? Seems to be the only job the doctor they ever get, a caretaker.
That's a good joke. That's a good running joke.
Or Moffat's fascination with dinosaurs.
Oh yeah, the dinosaur.
That's kind of another thing that's kind of confused me about these hotels, because we got all these hotel rooms. Now, my impression is the idea that was the Time Hotel was just simply occupying all these hotel rooms. But then you get to the bit of the Jurassic period where there would literally be no civilization to build that hotel room. So did they build that one?
They had the door to the Jurassic period, and they built that arch, the little hut, to be viewing, everything, all the dinosaurs like that. Is that they didn't do a good job because the dinosaur was able to go up to them and take a bite instead of building one a little more higher for it can't,
Maybe. Also another thing that was really bugging me: the tents. Who the hell is not occupying a tent? Because the whole thing was supposed to be that they couldn't use any of the rooms if anyone in the actual time zone was actually using them. But who the hell is not occupying a tent? It's literally built to be occupied.
I know, especially that particular tent, because I think that was supposed to be Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay, if I remember right. Yeah. Because of all little hints and clues they threw. Yeah, the first, allegedly the first summit of Everest, but the first documented one. But oh man,
you got to give props, because even though during the season and in this special, we have not had an appearance by the Daleks, but we had a reference when the doctor had the plunger in his hand and he thought it was a Dalek weapon. Yeah, is it on a weapon? That's somebody was mentioning it in the comments. I said that's true, but remember, don't be surprised to see the Daleks again soon, because we haven't seen them in a little bit.
Oh heck! Now I just found the comment button. They've changed everything on StreamYard since I last used it. We have been getting comments apparently.
Yeah.
Ain't a question. Who's the lady in the train?
Yeah, that's somebody that's mentioned. Yeah, the lady on the train.
I don't think she was ever named.
I think she was just a kind of a character who was there. I don't think
Yeah.
she was like anybody historical or anything like that.
I'd also like to tackle something that I've mentioned Ellie Littlechild on Who Culture. She said something where I think Ellie Littlechild missed a point on something. She talked about how, well, obviously they've mentioned COVID in this episode, and Ellie was talking about how they seem to have written COVID like the idea that it's a part of ancient history, when for me it's still very raw and real. And I think Ellie's really missing the point in that I don't think Moffat was writing COVID as a point of history. I think the reason he wrote it is because it's still raw and real for everyone right now. That's why a lot of people can empathize with what Joy was going through, particularly that, and everyone in the country can empathize with that part where she said all those people with their wine fridges and their parties, because that, I mean, anyone who knows about what happened over here, what the government were doing at the time, that hit a lot of people really hard.
Yeah, but although the parties and stuff that were going on, the photos that got leaked out of all these guys sitting there in this room, and it's like when everybody else was told to stay 6 feet away from each other and wear masks.
And that's exactly what Joy was expressing. Joy was very much supposed to be the audience in that area.
Plus,
it wasn't meant to be. My point is, I think Mr. Little's missing point. It wasn't a point of history. It was a point of everyone's feeling right now.
Yeah. Oh, great. I just lost my train of thought.
No, sorry.
Speaking of trains.
The trailer for the new season didn't really show nothing. Just show some like that. So you don't get the guess of what the main plot is for the new season. So I gotta give props for that. Even you did see the old lady again popping up like that. But yeah, but we don't know who she is yet. So.
So interesting episode. Like I said, a lot of different little, I was just, after I finished watching it, I just started picturing, the people, like coming up to the desk. It's like, now listen to this. Okay, if you listen very closely, because we're not going to say this again. If you're renting the Titanic suite, you better check out on time. Okay. It's like, why? Let me give you a hint. How long can you tread water? All right. But I don't know. That just popped into my head. But
I was looking at my notes as well. Just another little just a little point of mention or something to mention. Have you noticed that they've decided to make various existing TARDIS memorabilia canon now? Because you saw the mini TARDISes. There was also a mug, which is a real mug.
No, that's bugged out. That he made all the little figures based on his TARDISes like that.
He actually bought them online. He explicitly says he bought them online, saying there seems to be a lot of them, which is kind of a nod to the fact that those figures are apparently real figures you can buy.
I'm shocked the unit didn't stop that.
Like I said, overall, very interesting episode. Anything else anyone want to bring up before we go ahead and bring this to a close? Or
what's weird? I mean, I know in the end they showed the doctor's companion, on the phone, talking to her mom like that. But I'm saying you really didn't need to show her because she wasn't not part of the story, and you showed her. You really showed her at the end as a company for the next season. You could have had a little clip at the end with Anita at her new job, like that.
Well, I think it was meant to be the foreshadowing of Ruby coming back. And more to the point, the fact that she was on the phone does somewhat suggest that Ruby's finally moved out and got her own life.
Yeah.
Well, Roger brought up some of the stuff here from the trailer for the next series. Yeah, that scene, that's the one that's stuck in my head from that trailer with the cartoon coming out of the theater screen.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that's one of the pantheon of Discord doing that.
Oh, man.
Wasn't that a plot in an 8th Doctor book? I gotta look it up.
It wouldn't be outside because we know they've adapted things before. So human nature, family of blood, and all that. So it would be interesting if they picked up that idea.
Mhm.
And also, we talked briefly about the war games for color. I from what I heard, the colorization was done brilliantly.
It was very good.
Yeah, what I seen from it, it looked great. But I don't know why they did a 90-minute one. It could have been 2 hours. Should have been 2 hours.
Yeah.
So there are certain scenes that you see Jamie get captured. He escapes. He gets captured again. He escapes. I'm like, you know what I mean? You gotta fix it. You should have made it 2 hours. 2 hours.
There's actually a very good use of the color in one scene. There's a bit where the Doctor disables the controls for one bit. In that part, they actually switch off the color, and specifically for that console, they isolated as black and white, which was actually quite clever use of color, or black and white in this case.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to sit down and actually watch that one because, like I said, I've seen clips of it, and like I said, the colorization's amazing. We've come a long way from Ted Turner. Oh God, those nightmares he used to make.
I will actually say for anyone listening who was for anyone who was reading any of the press releases for this and was seeing that saying that newly rediscovered footage will be included. I was racking my brain trying to figure out what that was about. Someone who was actually paying attention for the last year had actually told me sometime earlier this year there was some more high quality footage of the location scenes had been located, and that's what they included. So it's not a case of any missing scenes or missing footage as such. It's just they just found some more high quality footage for what we already had, and that's what they were using.
Okay, well, let's rate the Christmas special, and then we're going to put it to bed. All right, out of 10, William, what do you give Joy to the World?
I'll give it a 7.5.
Okay.
I mean, it's not horrible, but I wish they would show. And this is for me, in my opinion. I wish instead of showing Ruby, they should have shown Anita at her new job.
Yeah. DWC?
Yeah, I'm going with a 7. I mean, there were things I highlighted some things that I thought didn't make sense or was old hat, didn't like. But overall, it brought the ending particularly just brought a tear to my eye. And when something can hit you in the gut just like that, it's a winner for me when it does that.
Okay, I'm going to give it a 7 as well. Like I said, it was very, very enjoyable. The characters were pretty good, and even though it was kind of a split episode, it still resolved itself pretty nicely. So I can go with that. I can go with a 7. Well, folks, as far as we know, like I said, RTD is running around saying that we're going to get the next series sooner than we think. So hopefully in the spring, not sure when, we'll be seeing the next season. I don't know why everybody's still flipping out over this whole Disney thing. As William brought up, even if Disney pulls out, that doesn't mean the show's canceled. When the BBC, I believe it was canceled Ripper Street, I think it was after like series 2. It went over to like Amazon Prime, and it did our 3 series. And plus, the better part was when it went over to Amazon Prime, they could make the episodes as long as they wanted. Whereas when they aired back on the BBC, that was part of the agreement. They'd make the episodes, they'd air them first on Amazon Prime. I think it was Amazon Prime. Okay, it was. And then they could show it whatever length, but when it came back over to the BBC had to try to fit into like a 50-minute time slot. So, like I said, I don't see Doctor Who going anywhere. Like I said, even if Disney Plus pulls out, it doesn't mean the BBC's pulling the plug. It's still one of their major money makers. As I just explained at the beginning of the show, 4.1 million on the overnights on Christmas Day is not horrible. It's not awful. It's not abysmal. It's actually pretty damn good considering the competition.
Yeah, over here in the States for Christmas, from noon to like midnight or 1 a.m., we had nothing but NBA basketball. So people was glued to that. So people watching Doctor Who was not going to watch it on Christmas Day. They'll probably watch it the next day, like I did. I didn't mean I didn't want to watch Doctor Who, but my brother was seeing all that, and they wanted to see sports. So I had no choice.
But I'm seeing in the comments Trekkipedia is saying that next Netflix would grab Doctor Who in a heartbeat. I bloody hope not. I'm all right with Disney Plus not funny anymore, but for me, it's still got to be a BBC production.
Yeah.
BBC are really the only ones who know how to do Doctor Who.
Well, folks, we're going to wrap this session up. Take it easy out there. Enjoy the rest of your vacation or your holiday season.
Happy New
And
Year.
hopefully we'll see you again very soon. We start talking about series 2 when that airs. So take care, everyone. Good night.
Be seen.
For Old Lang Syne.